The wrestling world just exploded with the kind of electricity that makes you forget to breathe. What we witnessed on Raw wasn't just another episode of professional wrestling. It was a seismic shift that has everyone from casual fans to hardcore veterans buzzing with anticipation. The landscape of WarGames has been completely transformed, and if you think you know what's coming next, you might want to think again. Before we dive deeper into this chaos, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you're going to want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this incredible saga. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Two names that carry the weight of empires. Two forces of nature that have defined what it means to be dominant in professional wrestling. When these titans walk through that curtain, the atmosphere changes. The air gets thicker. The crowd gets louder. Everything feels bigger because it is bigger. For years these men have stood at the pinnacle of the industry, crushing everything in their path and building legacies that will echo through generations. Their rivalry has produced some of the most intense, brutal and unforgettable encounters in modern wrestling history. So when both of them appeared on the same night on the same show with WarGames looming on the horizon, the wrestling universe collectively lost its mind. Let's start with Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table. A man who has held championship gold with an iron grip and ruled over the wrestling landscape like a modern-day emperor. His presence alone shifts the entire dynamic of any situation he enters. When his music hit and he made his way to the ring, you could feel the tension ratcheting up to levels that seemed almost unbearable. Roman doesn't just walk into a building, he owns it. Every step he takes is calculated. Every word he speaks carries the authority of someone who has proven time and time again that he backs up every single claim he makes. His emergence on Raw wasn't just an appearance, it was a declaration. A reminder to everyone watching that the landscape of WarGames or any other battlefield in professional wrestling goes through him first. But Roman Reigns wasn't the only earthquake to shake Raw to its foundation. Brock Lesnar, the Beast incarnate, showed up ready to remind everyone why he's called the most dangerous man in professional wrestling. Brock doesn't play by the rules. He doesn't care about protocols or politics or playing nice with management. He cares about one thing and one thing only: dominance. Pure, unadulterated physical dominance. When Brock Lesnar enters the picture, strategy goes out the window because you're no longer dealing with a wrestler. You're dealing with a force of nature that can and will destroy anything standing between him and what he wants. His appearance sent shockwaves through the roster and through the fans because everyone knows what Brock brings to the table: chaos, violence, unpredictability. The kind of raw power that changes the entire complexion of any match or any event he's involved in. Now think about what WarGames represents. This isn't your standard wrestling match. This isn't even your standard brutal encounter. WarGames is warfare. It's two rings surrounded by a steel cage where teams battle until only one side remains standing. The rules are brutal. The environment is unforgiving. There's nowhere to hide and nowhere to run. It's about survival. It's about which team can endure the most pain, absorb the most punishment, and still have enough left in the tank to emerge victorious. Teams have been forming. Alliances have been built. Strategies have been discussed and refined. Everyone thought they knew how the pieces were falling into place. Then Roman and Brock showed up and threw the entire board game into the air. The teams preparing for WarGames had their plans. They had their strategies mapped out. They knew who they were facing and they believed they understood what they needed to do to win. But how do you plan for Roman Reigns? How do you strategize around Brock Lesnar? These aren't men who follow scripts. They don't fit neatly into tactical diagrams. They're disruptors, game changers. The kind of competitors who make you throw away everything you thought you knew and start from scratch because the old rules no longer apply. Their emergence has created a level of uncertainty that makes WarGames even more dangerous and even more unpredictable than it already was. Think about the existing participants. Think about the men and women who have been preparing mentally and physically for this brutal contest. They've been training. They've been studying tape. They've been building chemistry with their teammates and looking for weaknesses in their opponents. Now they have to recalculate everything. Roman Reigns brings a level of tactical intelligence that's rare in professional wrestling. He doesn't just overpower opponents. He outthinks them. He finds their weaknesses and he exploits them with surgical precision. Brock Lesnar brings pure, devastating power. He doesn't need a complex strategy. He just needs to get his hands on you and your night is over. Having both of these elements potentially in play at WarGames creates a scenario where no one is safe and nothing is certain. The crowd reaction told the entire story. When Roman's music hit, the arena erupted. When Brock's music followed, the noise level reached levels that seemed physically impossible. Fans were on their feet. Signs were waving. Voices were screaming themselves hoarse. This is what professional wrestling is supposed to feel like. This is the kind of moment that reminds you why you fell in love with this industry in the first place. The unpredictability. The larger-than-life characters. The sense that anything can happen at any moment and probably will. Raw delivered that feeling in spades, and it's because these two icons stepped into the spotlight and reminded everyone that they're still the biggest draws in the business. Now let's talk about the implications for the actual War Games match itself. The structure of the match means that entries are staggered. Team members enter at timed intervals, which creates these windows of advantage and disadvantage throughout the contest. Imagine being in that cage knowing that at some point Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar might be the next person walking down that ramp. Imagine the psychological warfare that creates. You're already exhausted. You're already battered. You're trying to maintain position and protect your teammates. Then you hear that music. Then you see that figure emerging. Your entire game plan has to shift in real time because survival just became exponentially more difficult. The beauty of professional wrestling is that it's not just about the physical. It's about the mental game. It's about the mind games and the psychological edges that competitors try to gain over each other. Roman Reigns is a master of this. He gets inside his opponents' heads long before the bell ever rings. His words cut deeper than most people's finishing moves. He breaks down confidence. He creates doubt. He makes you question whether you really belong in the same ring with him. That's a weapon as dangerous as any suplex or submission hold. Brock Lesnar operates differently but with similar effectiveness. He doesn't need to say much. His reputation speaks for itself. Everyone knows what he's capable of. Everyone has seen the destruction he's caused. That fear, that apprehension that plays in the back of your mind when you know you might have to face him, that psychological warfare at its finest. The teams that were feeling confident are now second-guessing. The alliances that seemed solid might start showing cracks. When the stakes get this high and when threats of this magnitude emerge, human nature takes over. Self-preservation kicks in. People start wondering if their teammates are really willing to sacrifice their bodies when Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar is standing across the ring. These are the kinds of questions that can tear a team apart from the inside. Unity is everything in war games. You need to trust the people fighting beside you. You need to know they'll have your back when things get desperate. But trust becomes complicated when survival instincts start screaming at you to look out for yourself first. What makes this situation even more fascinating is the history between Roman and Brock themselves. These two have gone to war more times than most people can count. They've main event the biggest shows. They've beaten each other within inches of consciousness. They've pushed each other to limits that seemed inhuman. Their rivalry is the stuff of legend. So having them both potentially involved in war games raises all sorts of questions. Will they be on the same team? Will they be on opposing teams? Will they somehow end up targeting each other even if the match structure doesn't call for it? The unpredictability is intoxicating because with these two competitors literally anything is possible. Professional wrestling thrives on moments like this. Moments that feel genuinely unpredictable. Moments where the outcome isn't telegraphed from miles away. We live in an era where information travels instantly. Spoilers leak. Plans get revealed. It's rare to feel truly surprised anymore. But when Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar emerged on Raw to shake up the War Games landscape, that old feeling came rushing back. That sense of not knowing what's going to happen next. That excitement that comes from genuine uncertainty. That's the magic that keeps people coming back week after week, year after year. The wrestlers backstage have to be feeling this shift as well. When you're in the locker room and you hear that Roman and Brock are involved, everything changes. Your preparation changes. Your mindset changes. The margin for error shrinks to almost nothing because mistakes against competitors of this caliber don't just cost you a match. They can end careers. That's not hyperbole. That's reality. Brock Lesnar has broken people. Roman Reigns has ended pushes and shattered confidence. They operate on a different level and everyone in that building knows it. So the energy backstage must be electric right now. A combination of excitement and terror. The thrill of potentially sharing a ring with legends mixed with the very real fear of what that might mean for your physical well-being. From a storytelling perspective, this development is absolutely brilliant. War Games already had momentum. The match concept alone generates interest. But adding Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar into the mix elevates everything. Suddenly this isn't just another War Games match. This is a potential classic. This is the kind of event that people will be talking about for years. This is the kind of show that brings lapsed fans back. That gets casual viewers to tune in. That creates buzz on social media and water cooler conversations the next day. That's the power of star power. That's what happens when you have genuine draws involved in your major angles. Think about the promotional material that's going to come out of this. The video packages. The intense stare-downs. The promos where Roman delivers his calculated verbal destruction while Brock stands nearby looking like he's ready to rip someone's head off. The visual storytelling opportunities are endless. Wrestling is at its best when the personalities are so strong that they can carry segments without even needing to wrestle. Roman and Brock both have that ability. They can hold your attention just by standing in the ring and talking, or in Brock's case not talking and just looking dangerous. That's a rare gift, and it's one that both men have mastered over their incredible careers. The social media reaction has been absolutely explosive. Wrestling fans across every platform are losing their minds trying to figure out what this means. The speculation is running wild. The theories are multiplying by the minute. Everyone has an opinion about who should team with whom and what the optimal scenario would be. That engagement is exactly what the wrestling business needs. When people are this invested in talking about your product, when they're this passionate about debating outcomes and possibilities, that's when you know you've created something special. Roman and Brock emerging on Raw didn't just change the War Games landscape within the storyline, it changed the conversation around the entire event. For the younger wrestlers on the roster, this has to be an incredible learning opportunity as well. Getting to share a locker room with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, getting to potentially work with them or against them, getting to see up close how they prepare, how they carry themselves, how they command presence. That's the kind of education you can't get anywhere else. These are living legends who are still operating at the absolute peak of their powers. The knowledge and experience they bring is invaluable. The aura they create is something you can only learn by being in proximity to it. The next generation of stars is watching and learning and hopefully absorbing lessons that will help them become the next Roman Reigns or the next Brock Lesnar. War Games is a career-defining match for many competitors. It's the kind of showcase where someone can break through to the next level. A star-making performance in War Games can change the trajectory of an entire career. But it's also the kind of environment where you can get exposed, where your limitations become apparent, where the bright lights reveal whether you truly belong at the top of the card. Adding Roman and Brock to this pressure cooker environment raises the stakes even higher. Now you're not just trying to shine in a brutal cage match, you're trying to shine while sharing space with two of the biggest names in wrestling history. That's intimidating. That's overwhelming. That's also potentially the opportunity of a lifetime. The physicality of War Games cannot be overstated. This isn't a match where you walk away unscathed. Bodies get broken. Limits get tested. People leave on stretchers. It's designed to be warfare, and it lives up to that design every single time. Roman Reigns has proven throughout his career that he can thrive in these brutal environments. His championship reign was built on his ability to survive and overcome in the most hostile conditions imaginable. Brock Lesnar might have been born for this kind of match. His background, his fighting style, his complete disregard for his own safety, let alone anyone else's. Put Brock in a cage and tell him to hurt people, and you're essentially just giving him permission to do what he does best. The carnage these two could unleash inside those dual rings surrounded by steel is almost scary to imagine. What about the other competitors though? What about the men and women who were already locked into this match? How do they respond? Do they step up their game? Do they rise to the challenge? Or do they get swallowed by the moment? These are the questions that will be answered at War Games. These are the narratives that will play out inside that cage. Some people will have breakthrough performances. Some will solidify their status. Others might realize they're not quite ready for this level yet. That's the beauty of a match like this. It reveals truth. It strips away pretense and shows you exactly who can handle the pressure and who can't. The build to War Games just became infinitely more interesting. Every promo matters more now. Every confrontation carries more weight. Every stare down feels more intense. When you add Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar into any situation, the gravity of that situation increases exponentially. They're planet-level talents. They bend everything around them toward their orbit. The next few weeks are going to be absolutely must-see television because nobody knows exactly how this is going to unfold. That uncertainty, that unpredictability is what creates truly compelling viewing. It's what makes you cancel plans to stay home and watch. It's what makes you immediately re-watch segments to catch details you might have missed. Professional wrestling is about creating moments that matter. Moments that resonate. Moments that people remember and talk about years later. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar emerging on Raw to alter the War Games landscape is one of those moments. It's the kind of development that shifts momentum and changes trajectories. It's the kind of surprise that reminds you why you fell in love with this crazy world of professional wrestling in the first place. The larger-than-life characters. The impossible scenarios. The feeling that anything can happen. That's what we got on Raw, and that's what we're going to get at War Games. So as we head toward what's now guaranteed to be an absolutely explosive War Games event, the questions are multiplying. Which team will Roman join, if any? What's Brock's agenda? How will the existing participants adapt? Who survives this newly volatile landscape? The answers are coming, but the journey to those answers is going to be absolutely wild. This is professional wrestling operating at its highest level. This is what happens when you combine brutal match concepts with legendary talent and unpredictable storytelling. The landscape has been altered. The stakes have been raised. War Games was already going to be intense, but now it's become something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something unmissable. If you've made it this far, you're clearly as invested in this story as we are, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel because the coverage is just getting started and you won't want